Thank you all so much for participating in this webinar about vegetarianism and the environment. Since we only have about 5 minutes left, we thought it would be beneficial to summarize the main points from today's talk and have our expert panel leave the audience with some take-home messages. Do either of you have anything you'd like to reiterate?
I can jump in first here. I'd again like to emphasize the importance of taking immediate action to lessen the impact of climate change. Earth can't be treated as our personal gold mine. It only has a limited amount of resources, and we're currently in a very precarious situation. If we don't start paying more attention to protecting the environment, our actions will come back to haunt us through the effects of climate change. And as we've emphasized, it's already happening. Climate change isn't something that will happen hundreds of years from now. It's something happening right now, and some of the damage is irreversible. As we've mentioned earlier in this webinar, one major driver of climate change is greenhouse gases, emitted largely by the agricultural industry, specifically the meat industry. Livestock naturally produces more methane, which is 25 times more potent at trapping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide, which is the gas we typically think about when discussing greenhouse gases. Clearly, there's an opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions solely based on diet, which is why Dr. Plant and I both decided to participate in this webinar.
Yeah, that is exactly right, Dr. Green. I'll just add on with my expertise from the nutrition standpoint. Research comparing greenhouse gas emissions from diets geared toward a standard omnivorous diet and practices geared toward a vegan diet reveals striking data. Practices geared toward a vegan diet reduced emissions by 45%. We know that it's unrealistic to expect a full population-wide shift to a vegan diet, so we can't really expect a full 45% reduction in emissions due to diet alone, but the evidence does speak for itself. Benefits for the environment would be seen even with a large shift towards a vegetarian diet in a large portion of the population. The reduction in greenhouse gas emissions for vegetarian practices would be approximately 31%, so less than that of the effect of vegan practices, but it's still a huge reduction in emissions.
And why are these reductions in emissions so important?
That's a great question. I can say that, other than the reduction in climate change, reducing greenhouse gas emissions also betters the air quality. Higher levels of air pollution is bad not only for the environment, but also for human health. Human respiratory systems are particularly vulnerable to changes in air quality. Without a reduction in greenhouse gases, climate change and air pollution will only get worse, leading to premature deaths and high system-wide healthcare costs. A vegetarian diet can have indirect positive effects on your own health in this way by reducing air pollution.
Definitely. Also, a vegetarian diet can directly positively affect your health by reducing your risk of cardiovascular disease and overall mortality risk, especially with the removal of unprocessed and processed red meat from your diet.
Thank you for repeating those points. The potential for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality through only a change in diet and agriculture practices is really exciting, especially in tandem with the many personal health benefits it can bring. I think that for many younger people, climate change can seem like a huge issue that they cannot individually control since they were born into it. But it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel that shifts in personal diets can clearly make a difference. This question is for you, Dr. Plant. What specific changes do you think college students can make to reduce their meat intake?
Yeah, another great question, Steph, that I'm sure a lot of students listening in are curious to know about. Well, for those of you who are on a meal plan, I think you will find that Cornell Dining provides a variety of options for any diets, including vegetarian and vegan options. I also want to add that you don't have to be a perfect vegetarian or vegan. If everyone were to become an imperfect vegetarian, we would see more environmental benefits than if everyone were to continue with their current omnivorous diets. So even any small changes you can make can have an impact. And if you're cooking your own meals, one of the simplest changes would be to start incorporating plant-based meat substitution products in your diet. Most of the time, you probably won't be able to tell the difference. You can also utilize other plant-based proteins like beans, tofu, and tempeh, which from personal experience taste great.
That is very true, Dr. Plant. I've been vegetarian for a fair amount of time now, and I've been continuously impressed by the number of new plant-based products that are available. I've also seen how much more affordable a vegetarian diet can be, particularly when you consume legumes, a cheap and healthy plant protein source. Meat is quite expensive, and from cutting meat out of my diet, I spend significantly less on food each week. For all of you students who may try to be as frugal as possible, this can be a win-win, contributing positively in the race against climate change, health benefits, and saving money.
A win-win for sure. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for everyone to join us.